Coming down this little pathway here, that opening looks inviting, and despite how it looks, I've actually never passed through one of these before. And I bet you can't guess what it was used for. But we're going to do it now for our very first time. As much as I love adventures and exploring, I also do enjoy my downtime and taking it easy once in a while. And today, I'm going to be taking it a little bit easier. I'm going to be taking a leisurely ride on a historic trail known as the Trolley Trail. I actually learned about it on Facebook a couple years ago, and finally coming here to check it out today. So today is going to consist of just a little bit of exploring, but more so taking a leisurely ride. Now, I don't know what this trail has to offer, but so far I did come across an abandoned structure right there, which we will check out later on in the video when we do come back to it, because this trail is split up into two different sections. The first section that I'm on right now, that we're going to be going to the end of, is in the Clark Summit / Dalton area. Once we reach the end of that section, we have to traverse some roads for a few miles and then go to a second section behind Keystone College in Factoryville. At the same time too, I'm going to be reviewing a brand new e-bike right there, which I think many of you may enjoy learning about, not only for its classic vintage look, but also for its price point. But we will talk more about that later in the video. But if you're ready to see what this Trolley Trail has to offer, then all you need to do is come along with me. This is where our journey begins. Sign right there says Borough of Clark Summit, so Clark Summit is right there. This, I believe, is Dalton, Pennsylvania. And we're at the intersection of North State Street, where all those cars are driving. That's Route 6, and Old State Road going down this way. Now, this is where the trail ends or begins, depending on how you look at it. For us, this is where it begins. And the one thing I noticed is that there's no official trailhead or parking here. So I did have to park in a different parking lot and actually ride sections of the trail to get here for our official starting point. We do have a sign up here for Countryside Conservancy Trolley Trail, so just stating what you are on, which is a piece of history. It looks like it may be on some type of concrete abutment as well. And also along the way, there's going to be some information boards and plaques, which I will briefly stop and share with you. Now, I do have a small bit of information to share with you about this line. Those information plaques will definitely share more, so when I do show them on the screen, feel free to pause and to read them. The other thing to point out too is that sections of this trail will look like old rail bed. Others look like off-beaten, worn paths. That's because there's different connections to go to different parts of the rail line. So it'll make more sense once we are riding. But for what I came through so far, it's a beautiful wooded scenic area. We did come across that abandoned building, which we will be stopping at. One or two bridges with some flowing creeks, and who knows what else. But I'm officially ready to start riding, so I'm going to mount you guys up here. I'm going to get on the bike, and we'll go down the Trolley Trail. Beginning on our journey is a information board here. It says a ticket to ride, 1907 to 1932, Northern Electric Trolley, Clark Summit. And it says ticket prices range from 5 cents to 75 cents for round trips to half fares. The trip took about an hour from downtown Scranton to Factoryville. And here we officially begin our journey on the Trolley Trail. The sign says, cyclists yield to pedestrians. Did come across some so far, but this doesn't seem like a very busy trail. And honestly, I don't know how many people actually know about it. It's rather hidden and obscure, which is a good thing for people like us that just want to check it out and enjoy it and see what it has to offer. For the time being, this rail line is paralleling Norfolk Southern off to our right, and we're now on a telephone pole line going slightly downhill. And I do hear some water. Little tiny culvert bridge here with some fresh mountain water coming down. You can see it snaking its way down higher up in the background there. And I see a little pool of water where the water's collecting and then finally spilling over here. It looks nice and clear and clean. The other thing to point out too is I finally have a great day for doing this. I've been meaning to do this trail for several weeks now, but the weather just has not been cooperating here in the summer of 2024. It's either been hot and humid, really sticky out, rainy, windy, something else. But I have a break today. Even though it's overcast, it's in the 70s. Humidity's up just a little bit, but it's tolerable. But in just a few days, we're going to be getting remnants of Hurricane Debbie, where this area is probably going to get washed out pretty good. They're expecting 5 to 7 inches of rain in this area alone. and things like this will probably be flowing over the trail itself. So I came in just the right amount of time to do it before that actually happens, because this trail will probably be shut down for an amount of time as they do cleanup work, as well as a lot of other trails and areas here. But I'm actually enjoying the weather for the moment. I'm glad not to be out here sweating and just doing a really enjoyable leisurely ride. And of course, I'm glad to have you along as well. Now we really get into a beautiful section of trail. Look how wooded and scenic it is. Now that old state road is down to our left, but we will be veering off of that in just a bit. Another little bridge here, culvert bridge. Still continuing slightly downhill. Now this trail is basically crushed gravel, dirt, and fine bits of stone. Pretty well manicured. Obviously some twigs and sticks, some bigger rocks here and there, but this section alone is pretty worn down, pretty manageable for almost anyone, I'd say, whether you're on foot or on bike. Just coasting downhill here at 10 miles an hour. As I explained, we did veer off from the road, so it is pretty quiet and more remote back here. Not that you're very far from civilization, but you don't hear the traffic nearly as much back here. So we do have an arrow pointing to the left. It's going to take us down to Abington Little League footpath. It's a stand path, follow the arrows. Now I believe the rail line itself, actually we'll double check. I think it would have continued this way and then veered over off a bridge, which I did see an abutment on the way here. Okay, so we do have another small trailhead here just for parking for 2 or 3 cars. And as I mentioned, I believe the rail line would have came down that direction and went off in that direction. I think we'll get confirmation of that in just a little bit, but let's get back on the main trail. You see what I see? That's the abandoned structure that I was standing by doing my intro. This is where you get off the off-beaten path. It's a little bit more rockier, less maintained, but this is a connection trail. That's why it's not as pristine as the main trolley trails. This is just a connection trail. It does take you past this abandoned building, and we're going to go down by the ball field in just a little bit and pick up again with the trail. But this part is a bit steeper, rockier, a lot of tree stumps and roots, and it's going to be a little bit more challenging than the trail we were just on. But with that being said, what do we have here? I will say at first glance, kind of resembles a jail because it's got a gated door. You do see where there was electrical hookup to it. It may have been an old substation for the trolley line to provide power to a section of the track. I don't think we could get inside, but we could at least look inside. So let's go do that. Now I have seen substations before for trolley lines in other areas, and those buildings are usually much larger. They're almost like large generator houses. So I can't confirm if this is indeed one of those or not. It's obviously much smaller, but it may have just had its own unique purpose for the trolley line, or it could have been something unrelated. But it does have this pretty heavy gated door, which is sealed up. But I should be able to stick you through the bars and get you a view on the inside. So I'm holding you guys through the bar right now, and you can see there's some holes in the roof. Natural skylights, as I like to call it. There is a hole down the floor with a log coming out of it. There appears to be a basement to this. Oh, there's actually a hole right here too. So there is something underneath. I do see electrical outlet on the wall directly across from us, and then a panel box over there in the corner. It is made out of brick. Inside has wood, and the roof obviously is wood. So the brick structure is holding up well, but the wood parts not so much. There is a wooden door right here, which is posted, but the sign's really deteriorated, but you can't get inside anyways. do have another view here. So that's looking where we were just standing. And not a whole lot to see. It's pretty run down. If I would say size-wise, end to end, I would say maybe 8 feet. And it looks like it's a little bit shorter this way, maybe 6.5, 7 feet. That might be, yeah, I'd say around a 7 by 8 building, maybe 8 by 9 roughly. Not very big at all. But they didn't want people going in. I mean, there are barred up windows and a barred up door, so whatever they were doing on the inside or storing on the inside, they didn't want people messing with it. But who knows what else we're going to find today, so let's keep going. Just up there's the building that we just came down the trail. There's a sign here that says the Hunt Club, Natural Area of Ackerley. And we do have a bridge here, which appears to be a road bridge at one time, and then the ball fields are right there. But the bridge, though, is going over a nice little clear creek. And it's a bit muddy on here. Water's clear, but the bottom is a bit stained. It's like maybe tannous, brownish color. And it's looking downstream. So it appears that this road may have been here to get up to that building that was up there. And then when we come to the other side over here, we can see where the water is flowing towards us and flowing underneath the bridge. Not deep at all, only a few inches to maybe a foot. But it is just a nice, quiet, peaceful area. We just keep following the arrows. We're going to be on the border of this fence here, on the outskirts of the ball field, and then we'll pick back up with the trail. Come around the bend, we do head in that direction where those two women are walking. The trail does pick up over there, and from what I could see, and I passed on the way down, right where they're walking there's a concrete wall, and I believe that may be a bridge abutment for the old rail line. So we're going to stop there, check it out, and see if we can indeed confirm that that was part of the rail line. So although we are going to be continuing that direction, we did stop, as I mentioned, because we do have what appears to be a bridge abutment. You can see the lip right there as well. I think we could get around and get up on top of it and see what it looks like. It's not the easiest way to travel up here, but I think I made it. And here's what it looks like looking down. There's the lip. Not very wide. Looks like it's just wide enough for a single line. And although this doesn't look like much today, I'm pretty confident this was the rail line. It obviously looks much different than it used to. But I think, from what I remember riding in here, is that once we do get up and cross the road, the trolley line will continue in that direction. So the trolley line would have came, or went in that direction, came from that direction, right here, across this bridge, and directly across to the other side. Over there is where that little trailhead was, with parking for 2 or 3 spots, and we turned around. So essentially there would have been a trestle-work bridge going directly across here at one time. Some more information plaques. Off to the right is a parking trailhead, but we are going left. As I'm riding, I'm going to show you some images of some of the placards and billboards here showing more of the history of this rail line. So again, feel free to pause them to read in more detail, but they will give you a better idea as to what used to exist here. This was known as the Scranton, Montrose, and Binghamton Railroad Company, which was an interurban railway commonly referred to as the Northern Electric Railway. It ran between downtown Scranton, Pennsylvania, and its suburbs to the northwest, including Clark Summit, Dalton, Factoryville, and Montrose. gonna hurt you. The whole family of deer on this trail. And as I confirmed, and as I suspected, we are back on the rail line. Behind me, if we went straight across the road, would take us to that bridge abutment. So we're kind of piecing it together as we go. Oh, look, there's a deer. Crossing the road here. And we're going to be riding on the road for just a small section here. Although this is a public street, it is a connection of part of the trail here. I made a quick pit stop. What I thought was a culvert actually is something else. Thanks to those information placards, I found out that this is a cattle cross. At one time, this was used to pass cattle underneath the rail line. Nowadays, it is more or less serving as a culvert if water was to come through here, but this was lower at one time and deep enough so cattle can pass through safely under here. Probably there was a lot of farms here in the area. I think this may be my first time seeing one like this on an old rail line. I do want to take a moment to share something with you. I will say my first impressions of coming here was not really that high. It was just kind of just be a leisurely ride on a trail, you know, kind of kicking back, taking it easy, like I wanted to do. And prior to coming here, I tried to do some research, and websites offered very little. There's a few websites showing the map of the trails and giving you some brief history, which I did share with you, but there's not really a whole lot of pictures or even videos showing what this trail is like. So coming here, I didn't really know what to expect. My expectations were a bit low, but I will say, even though we're still early in our journey, that I am really enjoying what we're coming across so far. We've seen not only some beautiful nature and woods and some flowing water, but we've seen the old gated up building, and then we have that cattle crossing there. But the thing I'm really enjoying the most is the history that's shared along this trail. Every so often there's at least one, if not more, information boards or plaques just telling you either about different operations of the trolley or different operations of the rail line itself. So if you're into history, I think you definitely will enjoy this trail, but I am pretty excited to see what else we're going to come across today. Pull over here for a moment just to get some pictures, take a drink of water, and take in the environment. It's a really nice area of trail here. You can hear some traffic in the far distance, but overall it's a pretty quiet section of trail that we're on right now. And now some of you may be curious about what I'm riding today. Well, this portion of the video is going to be for you. If you want to skip this portion and you want to get right back to the trail, just go to the timestamp on the screen. Now, I'd like to take this time to talk to you about my mode of transportation today. That is this awesome looking vintage style e-bike known as the Rebel. This is made by a company called Revibikes. So special thanks to Revibikes for reaching out to me and allowing me the opportunity to try out and to share the Rebel with all of you. Looks alone, the bike is pretty nice looking. The color, the sidewalls, definitely has that vintage style look. There are a few things I do want to tell you about this because the specs are pretty impressive for what this bike has to offer, and also for the price point. This is actually a more affordable bike compared to many others I have reviewed. So some of the basic features that this does have: adjustable height handlebars. You can raise or lower them, so this is going to be suitable for smaller riders, shorter riders. Also, it is obviously step through, really easy to get on and off. And the bike is foldable. It does fold in half down here at the frame. So with folding the bike in half, folding the handlebars down, it does get to be pretty compact, as well as the foldable pedals. So for transporting it in your trunk, SUV, or even not folding it, putting it in a bike rack, it's not going to be that bad because the bike only weighs 65 pounds, and that's with the battery. So it's not a really heavy bike, and it's even got a handle here to pick it up, so it makes it that much easier as well. But with what it has, as far as weight goes, it could actually hold up to 400 pounds. So it could hold me, plus a whole lot more weight, whether you're carrying some cargo or you're just a heavier rider. It's going to handle people whether you're shorter, taller, lighter, or heavier. Also do have a nice rack here in the back too, which does function as a seat because this does come with rear pegs. You could have a small lightweight passenger on the back as well if you choose to do so. But it does have a plank wood here. It has a woody style look to it, like a beach cruiser, and a big wide seat, which is, I will give it a 4 out of 5 rating. It's nice and wide, probably the widest seat I've had on a bike. Really cradles your bottom, but it's not as thick as I would like. But I'll give it a solid 4, maybe even a 4.5 rating out of 5. The seat is pretty good. The seat also does fold down as a quick release to release the battery right here, which does have a lock with a key. So to get into more of the specs, this bike does have a 48 volt, 15 amp hour Samsung battery, which is removable, so you can charge it while it's in the bike or just remove it and take it to the charger. It powers a rear 750 watt motor, which peaks out at 1000 watts. That's a great power to weight ratio. This bike's not that big and heavy, but you have plenty of power with a 750 watt motor. The range is up to 60 miles. Of course, it's always dependent on the rider's size, terrain, and pedal assist use, but it is capable of getting up to 60 miles on a full charge. This does come as a class 2 bike, but you can unlock it to class 3, which means it can go up to 28 miles an hour. Stopping power is hydraulic disc brakes. It does have a headlight, tail light with brake light, and turn signals. So this is going to be a great interurban bike as well for commuting to work. It does ride on 20 by 3 inch fat tires. As we did see, they do have the nice sidewalls here, but they're more of a road tire. They're not aggressive at all. And the terrain that we're riding on today is probably the roughest terrain you'd want to ride it on. It's not made for off-road use, but it is able to handle a trail like this, but it is definitely more of a road tire. Now this bike actually comes with a nice bundle of accessories. You get a bike cleaning kit, a bike lock, an air pump, a smartphone holder for the handlebars, and saddlebags. All of that comes included with this bike. On top of that, this bike came 99.5% assembled. Are you wondering what the 0.5 is? It was the pedals. All I had to do was screw the pedals on and the bike was completely assembled. It came in a box in a small form factor because the bike was folded in half. Handlebars were folded down, but everything was already installed. The handlebars, the front wheel, everything. So just putting on the pedals is the easiest assembly ever. I never had a bike that came with so many accessories or that came nearly fully assembled. So that's a great plus that Revibikes sends this bike like that. Now, after riding this bike for a few times and riding it today on the trail, I do have a few pros and cons I do want to share with you. So number one is aesthetics and the look of it. So it comes with several color options. It comes in red, this is the turquoise, yellow, and green. So you don't have the boring gray, black, or white. You do have colors that really pop and are really vibrant. And with the style of it, like I said, it has that vintage style look to it. It's great for commuting. Based on the fact that it has the headlight, tail light, and turn signals, it's going to be great for riding through the city or riding with a group of people on the trail. And the powerful motor. 750 watts on this is pretty impressive. I reviewed other bikes similar style and size which had a 500 watt motor. 750 watts really helps you with that additional power for getting up hills and getting up to a top speed and not a whole lot of time. For the downside, there's only two things. Number one is the tires. I'm not a big fan of the tires for the size because 3-inch wide tires are not as common as 4-inch. When you look online for tires, aftermarket tires, there's a lot more 4-inch options than there is 3-inch. They're not bad. They do work. They are suitable for this bike. I prefer a more aggressive 4-inch wide tire. The other thing is the display. The display works great. It's flawless as far as its performance and what it shows you. It's the angle of it. Unfortunately, even though you can adjust it, there is a clamp underneath it which makes the display not able to go all the way down. So you can only go down as low as it is right now, which is not ideal, especially when filming on camera. You guys probably couldn't see the display at all. So the display is bright, clear, and crisp, but the angle of it just doesn't really work. That is just a minor complaint. Also, too, on the bottom of the display, there is a USB port, which I'm happy to see, so you can charge your smartphone as you're riding. Some other bikes with larger battery systems don't come with that, so USB port is on the bottom of the screen. But this will be able to handle riders of all shapes and sizes, whether you're shorter, taller, lighter, heavier. The Revibikes Rebel could be the one for you, and especially at the price point. If you'd like to get more information and to get the latest pricing, check the link down below in the description. Descending down once again, and we got a a turn coming up, and for what I remember seeing on the maps, this trail section should terminate not much further ahead. It'll bring us out to a road. From there we have to make a right and travel on some roads, including crossing over Route 6, and that'll take us into Factoryville, and from there we should be able to pick up the trail once again somewhere behind Keystone College. Oh, I remember seeing pictures of this. This is the boardwalk that takes you across a swampland or wetlands. This is nice. This would be a great spot too, just to get some photos of some nature and wildlife. Really nice section there. And as expected, here we are at a temporary termination point. Fast forward 20 minutes and nearly 4 miles later, I finally arrived at the second section of the Trolley Trail. It's actually directly across from the Factoryville Masonic Temple. I went to the athletic fields of Keystone College because it looks like on the maps and the websites that there's trail access there. I couldn't find it at all. I rode all around, and it's like a ghost town right now because college is not in session yet. I couldn't find any trails or access, so I went further down to here and finally found my access point, complete with another information board. Looks like we're going to be scaling this little switchback and then traversing this new section of the Trolley Trail. It's also starting to rain too, and I don't know how long this goes for, but hopefully we get some good shade and cover from the rain, or if the rain lets up. Like we've seen in the sections earlier, this one is a bit more maintained, crushed stone and gravel, nice and wide. Definitely a former rail bed, and also a power line pole trail. Cross street to go to downtown Factoryville. That's where we just came from. This appears to be a pretty nice area here. It's fence lined. People's backyards do border the trail. And just to think, back in the day, instead of bicyclists and runners, would have been trolleys coming through here. That's probably a pretty scenic ride. Is this something we should stop and check out? I think we probably should. At least to get some eyes on it, see if it's worthy of coming back to. Bike is parked right up there. Just came down a little bit, and there's indeed a pretty old stone culvert. Looks like it's possibly big enough to go through. I'd probably have to be hunched over. It is completely made out of stone, and obviously was created for the old trolley line here. So, won't be exploring it today. I'm not going to be making a special trip back just for that, but if I do find myself in the area, I definitely will check it out. At the very least get some pictures of it, but I do want to keep going just in case there is more rain coming. So, but wanted to share it with you. Neat little find. Oh, would you look at that? The football field. I was just below that, looking for this trail. I was so close, but I'm like, there's no access. Where is it? I simply just didn't come up far enough. So if you do find the Keystone College football field, there is a little parking area down there, I believe, and the trail access is right there. So yeah, it's literally less than 50 yards away. Now this direction we're heading is heading back towards where we kind of started from, towards Dalton. Now what's this? There's all ropes here. Why is that roped off? I don't know why that is all like that. It's almost like a circumference it's going around. That looks like traditional conduit for electrical wires, but then you have like some green and blue, looks like almost like bungee cords. This trail is going off in different directions. So that's Tunkhannock hiking trail up there. We're on the Trolley Trail, and then to the right in that direction where we came from says Sugar Shack, Athletic Complex Pavilion, downtown Factoryville. Okay, so just let you know where you're going, but there is a separate hiking trail here along the Trolley Trail, and looks like we do have another Information plaque. Okay, this is another sign for the cattle crossing, the cattle underpass. So we do have another one right here. We did show you one earlier in the other section. So let's briefly give you a view at this one. Because this one you can actually see the cutout, like the pathway of where they would have went. So you can see it is lined here like a retaining wall. That I thought it's concrete, that is stone. Stone here, concrete there. That was probably added later on. And this is the cattle crossing we're walking through right now. Moo! My horrible impression of a cow. Fortunately, cows can't pass any further. We are stopped by a tree. Somebody left it there. But yeah, we could say we're kind of passing through history. Same place cows used to pass back in the 1800s, so. Well, I guess looks are deceiving because on Google Earth, Google Maps, looks like this does keep going, which essentially it does. But we have a bit of an issue. I can't keep going because, well, we do have a fence here and it's also posted. No trespassing. What a bummer. I didn't think that the trail was just going to stop like this. So essentially you're coming down one way and you're forced to retreat, backtrack the way you came. But looks like our journey does officially end here. I was just checking the odometer. I put about 11 miles in today, and I'm here about 3 hours making this video. And roughly 4 miles of that 11 miles was me driving the roads to get from one section of trail to this section. And this section is neat, but a bit disappointing for the fact that it just ends abruptly right here with a no trespassing sign. I'd love to keep going and see where it goes, and maybe we'll have the opportunity in the future, but today, this is where we are stopping. Not a whole lot to see along this trail, this section here, except for that cattle underpass that we were able to walk underneath. But it's a nice manicured section of trail. You are sloping downwards coming to here, so on the way back, you're obviously climbing in elevation. Multiple trailheads with parking spots that I didn't know about initially. The athletic fields, I was just so close to it, but it actually worked out for the best with me going to the Masonic Temple entrance, because that was basically going from one end to the other end on this section. So we got to see the whole thing without having to backtrack back and forth. Other than that though, the other section is definitely more intriguing to me, more historical. We got to see more ruins. We got some of to see the flowing creek, the bridges, the culverts, the cow underpasses, but also that old abandoned structure. Don't know what it is, but regardless, you still need to see that. And that section of trail there, that little connection part, was the roughest part of the whole trail. It was steeper, rockier, a lot of roots and stumps and leaves and debris. That part was the roughest part of the whole trail, but nothing I couldn't handle, nothing that the bike couldn't handle. So I have to say, using this today made my efforts manageable. Being out here 3 hours, if I was on foot, we would have been out here probably 6-7 hours. And I think we covered nearly all there is to see along the Trolley Trail here in LiQWYD County. You got the Factoryville option or the Dalton-Clark Summit option. Choose whatever one you think would be best for you. For me, the one in Dalton is a bit better and a bit easier to access. But of course, I'd like to hear your thoughts as well on this trail. Share them down below. Don't forget, if you want more information on my Revibikes Rebel vintage style e-bike, check that link down below, as well as the link for my playlist that has other rail trail videos as well. Otherwise, thanks so much for hanging out with me on this leisurely day as we kick back a little bit, unwound, and had a little bit of a journey and a little bit of exploring on the Trolley Trail here in Lackawanna County. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.